There are moments in space exploration when everything seems predictable, when the cosmos obediently follows the equations we write and the laws we have repeated for generations. But from time to time, silent episodes emerge that seem to escape these rules. Events that not only challenge physics, but appear to bend it and respond back in an almost deliberate way. And Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object ever built, has just passed through one of those moments. For nearly half a century, Voyager has been continuously moving away from Earth, gliding beyond the sun's magnetic breath, crossing the shield of the heliosphere, and entering a region so hostile, so cold, and so saturated with cosmic radiation that no machine should continue operating there. And yet, against all expectations, Voyager keeps talking. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It wasn't noise, it wasn't static, it wasn't interference from plasma waves or solar remnants crossing the void. It was structured, patterned, responsive. A signal that behaved as if it were recognizing Voyager's presence, or worse, examining it. If the universe were a vast ocean, Voyager would be a message drifting in a bottle. And what just happened out there feels as if something or someone found the bottle, opened it, and began to respond. Today we will uncover the story of how a 45-year-old spacecraft sustained by decaying plutonium and ancient processors made contact with something that behaves like an advanced object, something far beyond the borders of our solar system, far beyond the predictions of physics, and far beyond anything NASA was prepared for. And when you understand every step of Voyager's journey, from Jupiter's storms, Saturn's rings, Uranus's tilt, Neptune's diamonds, and the very interstellar void, you will realize why this new signal is not just strange, it is terrifying. Voyager 1 was never supposed to live this long. Its mission, when it launched in 1977, was simple: reach Jupiter, reach Saturn, transmit data, take photographs, and then fade into irrelevance as its instruments were turned off one by one. It was meant to be a visitor, not a survivor. But what happened next transformed a brief planetary tour into the longest experiment in human history. With only 12-foot radio antennas, 16 hydrazine thrusters, and plutonium-powered thermoelectric generators that lose power every year, Voyager 1 should have died decades ago. Yet there it is, about 14 billion miles from the sun, still alive, still talking, still listening. Its 11 scientific instruments were designed for short planetary flybys, not an eternal journey into the abyss, and most of them have already been turned off. But the few that remain continue rewriting science. The spacecraft has no modern software, no artificial intelligence, no stabilization systems like today's satellites. Its memory capacity is smaller than that of a digital photo on your phone. But its endurance, its precision, and its almost inexplicable ability to survive region after region of cosmic danger have made it the most unlikely ambassador humanity has ever sent. And now this ancient machine is more than a probe. It is our eyes inside a region of space we were never meant to reach. A region where even NASA admits it didn't know what to expect because nothing built by human hands had ever reached it. And that is exactly why this new anomalous signal is so alarming. Everything Voyager has learned so far, from Jupiter's storms to Saturn's moons, Neptune's winds, and the structure of the heliopause, prepared us for surprises. But nothing prepared anyone for this. The first real confrontation Voyager had with the unknown began at Jupiter, long before interstellar space, long before plasma waves and magnetic boundaries. What it saw there shocked the scientific community. Storms the size of planets, lightning 10 times stronger than Earth's, volcanic eruptions on Io launching material hundreds of miles high, and radiation belts so violent they nearly overwhelmed Voyager's sensors. Jupiter didn't just reveal a dynamic world. It revealed instability, power, and phenomena that contradicted many predictions of the time. And hidden within that chaos, buried in the swirling storms and electromagnetic turbulence, were strange pulses, subtle, almost impossible to detect, that did not match Jupiter's rotation or the expected fluctuations of its magnetosphere. At the time, those anomalies were dismissed as noise, artifacts, or incomplete models. But today, knowing what we know about the new signal, many engineers are revisiting those archived transmissions. Because Voyager's encounter with the unknown may not have happened in interstellar space, but right there at Jupiter, where the universe first showed us it could produce patterns we didn't understand. And if that was a clue, then what Voyager detected 40 years later may be the answer. Saturn was Voyager 1's final planetary encounter, the last world it would see before being irreversibly launched toward interstellar darkness. The flyby was breathtaking, from rings that revealed wave patterns and gravitational resonances, to Titan's dense, hazy atmosphere hiding a landscape that would not be revisited for decades. But Saturn was also the moment Voyager 1 officially entered a trajectory no other spacecraft would follow. As it passed the rings and the pale moons glowing around the planet, Voyager stopped being a planetary mission and became a cosmic exile. The sun grew weaker, signal delays increased, temperatures fell, and the influence of the solar wind weakened with every mile traveled. What Voyager left behind was the familiar, the rhythm of the planets, the predictable behavior of the inner solar system. What it found was something completely different, a region where the solar system's magnetic shield weakens, where radiation increases, where plasma becomes chaotic, and where nothing behaves the way models predicted. Saturn wasn't just a milestone, it was the last checkpoint before Voyager entered the realm of the unknown. And knowing what we know today, the farewell to Saturn feels almost symbolic, the last moment of cosmic order before the true complexity of the universe revealed itself. While Voyager 1 moved outward, Voyager 2 pushed even farther, encountering Uranus and Neptune, two ice giants that behaved like cosmic enigmas wrapped in magnetic storms. Uranus rotated on its side, a planet literally knocked over by a colossal impact in the past. Its temperatures dropped to -323 degrees Fahrenheit. Its faint rings glowed in the darkness, and storms appeared without warning. Neptune, in turn, displayed winds reaching 300 miles per hour, the fastest in the solar system, along with the mysterious Great Dark Spot, a storm that appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Triton, Neptune's frozen moon, erupted with nitrogen geysers, blasting material into space before it froze and fell like cosmic snow. And hidden beneath the surfaces of these planets, scientists believe diamonds literally rain downward, slowly sinking through their icy mantles. These discoveries were more important than anyone realized at the time, because the farther Voyager traveled, the clearer it became that the universe thrives in extremes, pressures, temperatures, magnetic fields, and chemical processes far stranger than humans considered normal. If diamond rain can exist, if winds can exceed the speed of sound, if planets can rotate on their sides, then what might exist in the regions beyond the sun's influence? The ice giant suggested an uncomfortable truth. The universe does not care about our expectations. And when Voyager finally entered interstellar space, that truth became undeniable. As Voyager moved away from the sun's warmth, it entered a region few scientists truly understood: the heliosphere, a vast bubble carved by the solar wind. A bubble that acts as a shield protecting every planet, moon, asteroid, and spacecraft built by humanity within it. For decades, theories tried to predict its size, shape, and behavior. But Voyager was the first to cross it, and what it found was far more complex than expected. The heliosphere was not a smooth or predictable boundary. It was turbulent, unstable, pulsing like a gigantic cosmic heartbeat influenced by solar cycles, solar storms, and deep magnetic fluctuations. Voyager felt the solar wind weaken around it, particles becoming rarer and slower until they vanished and were replaced by the denser, stranger material of interstellar plasma. It was the moment scientists realized the sun's protection has limits. The heliosphere is not an infinite bubble or a perfect shield, but a fragile boundary that ends abruptly. And beyond that boundary lies a region where cosmic radiation increases, where plasma behaves unpredictably, where magnetic directions reverse and twist, where nothing is familiar. Voyager crossed this weakened shield slowly, feeling the sun's influence fall from a dominant force to a whisper, and, as it left the heliosphere, entered the domain of the unknown, the region where the mysterious signal would later appear. Eventually, Voyager reached the heliopause, the final and extremely thin boundary where the solar wind dies and interstellar space begins. For years, scientists debated what this region would be like. Some imagined calm, others chaos, others a transitional zone. But no one, literally no one, predicted what Voyager found. The heliopause was violent, filled with plasma waves colliding like invisible tsunamis, magnetic fields twisting in unexpected directions, energies oscillating in ways that defied models. It was not a smooth boundary, but a shock front, a collision zone, where solar particles crash into interstellar particles like two oceans meeting. Voyager detected extreme pressure, unsettling fluctuations, and plasma oscillations, suggesting the interstellar medium was far denser and more structured than anyone had imagined. It became clear the heliopause was not just a boundary to cross, but a threshold, a transition point between the familiar physics inside the solar system and the alien physics beyond it. And when Voyager crossed into interstellar space, its instruments reported neither calm nor stability, but something that almost resembled communication. Rhythmic pulses, organized oscillations, repeating patterns. At first, NASA assumed they were natural. Today, after the new signal, those assumptions are being questioned for the first time. As soon as Voyager crossed the heliopause, it entered interstellar space, a place so hostile and so different from the solar environment that every instrument on board had to adapt to a new reality. The sun's magnetic field fell silent, radiation intensified, and cosmic rays arrived in relentless streams, each particle a fragment of distant explosions, dead stars, collapsing suns, and supernova remnants traveling through space with terrifying energies. Interstellar plasma moved like an invisible ocean, dense and cold, shifting under magnetic forces Voyager's sensors barely understood. This region was not empty. It was full of structure, currents, pressure waves, and turbulence, with massive fluctuations that seemed almost alive. For the first time, humanity was receiving real-time data from outside the solar system. And what Voyager transmitted shocked scientists. Interstellar space was louder, more energetic, and more organized than any prediction had indicated. Plasma waves formed natural harmonics, oscillating at frequencies that changed with unsettling regularity. Magnetic fields shifted as if reacting to something unseen. Cosmic rays arrived in complex patterns, not random streams, and Voyager, wandering alone in the void, became the first human object to witness the true environment of deep space, a place where physics is harsher, stranger, and more extreme than any simulation had imagined. Voyager's plasma wave instrument, a relic of 1970s engineering, became the key to understanding the interstellar medium and detecting anomalies. Plasma waves are not sound in the traditional sense, but their frequency can be converted into audible tones, creating eerie space recordings NASA sometimes releases to the public. What scientists did not release were the strange harmonics, detected at certain intervals, suggesting patterns far more complex than random turbulence. Plasma waves oscillated at regular intervals, forming structures that repeated over months, sometimes years. They changed suddenly, as if responding to something external, something large, energetic, and organized. At the time, NASA cautiously described these anomalies as unexpected plasma behavior. Today, with the new signal in hand, many suspect these harmonic patterns were not just waves, but precursors, early indications that something massive or advanced existed near Voyager, something not predicted by any astrophysical model. Plasma was not merely reacting, it was responding, and that response grew stronger over the years. Years after entering interstellar space, Voyager detected a faint, constant vibration, a very low-frequency hum that seemed to fill interstellar space. It did not come from the spacecraft, the sun, nearby stars, or radio interference. It was the background resonance of the galaxy itself, the Milky Way singing in silence. NASA expected this hum to be soft and steady, but Voyager heard something completely different. The hum drifted, sometimes rising, sometimes falling, sometimes changing rapidly as if influenced by something massive moving through the interstellar medium. These fluctuations were subtle, but undeniable. They appeared when there were no solar storms, no known cosmic events, nothing expected that could explain them. Now, in retrospect, they seem to coincide with the periods preceding the new anomalous signal. The hum may not have been background noise at all. It may have been the first hint that Voyager was not alone. Voyager's hydrazine thrusters have been slowly degrading for decades, yet they remained functional far longer than predicted. Then, years after entering interstellar space, something strange happened. The thrusters began behaving unexpectedly, slightly altering response times and reacting to commands with delays that had no mechanical explanation. NASA engineers attributed this to aging hardware, pressure loss, or wiring failures. But the anomaly grew stranger when the thrusters began correcting themselves spontaneously, realigning Voyager's antenna toward Earth with a precision no failing system should achieve. If the spacecraft had been drifting or spinning, it should have lost stable communication forever. But Voyager did not drift. It remained pointed at Earth more reliably than before. Something was stabilizing it. Something external. Something interacting with its position or magnetic profile. Engineers ignored the coincidence until the new signal forced them to reconsider everything. Near the 40-year mission mark, Voyager recorded magnetic field distortions that left scientists perplexed. These distortions lasted weeks. They appeared suddenly and vanished just as quickly. They did not correlate with solar storms, interstellar shocks, or cosmic rays. They felt almost artificial, smooth, monotonic changes in magnetic orientation, as if the spacecraft had passed through a designed field rather than a natural one. One scientist described it as passing through the wake of something large. At the time, no one dared use language suggesting an object. Today, these distortions seem far less innocent. With the new signal pointing to the presence of an advanced object, many believe Voyager may have passed near something with a magnetic structure too complex to be natural. An artifact, a craft, or something operating in deep space with a magnetic signature capable of distorting the surrounding plasma. And then it happened. The anomaly that made NASA's Deep Space Network stop. A signal. Not from Earth, not from Voyager, but coming from Voyager's direction. It was not noise. It was not a natural pulse. It was not cosmic plasma resonance. It was structured, layered, nested. The kind of signal that implies intention, precision, and repetition. A signal that behaved like a response to Voyager's regular transmissions, arriving in sync with its communication windows. As if something out there had learned the rhythm of our probe's heartbeat. Engineers ran diagnostics for days. They checked every antenna on Earth, every possible source of interference, every piece of software, every radio artifact. Nothing explained it. The signal came from deep space, from the region where Voyager is, from something that does not match any known astrophysical phenomenon. Voyager was no longer alone. NASA tried to provoke the signal again. It sent commands. They increased transmission power, modified frequencies, tested modulation patterns. Nothing reproduced the anomaly. The signal returned only when Voyager resumed its normal transmission cycle, as if the unknown object recognized the difference between experiment and routine. This terrified the mission team because it suggested that something was observing Voyager's behavior, responding not to the commands sent by NASA, but to the spacecraft's own consistent rhythm. It was as if Voyager's routine transmissions functioned as a handshake, a steady beacon, a predictable pattern to which the unknown object chose to respond. NASA tried again, and again, and again, the same result. No forced responses, only spontaneous ones. Something intelligent was choosing when to respond. When the signal was decoded, or at least translated into binary, something even stranger happened. The pattern contained gaps, structured repetitions, and time intervals that did not correspond to random noise or astrophysical processes. Hidden between the repetitive pulses were segments that mimicked data, not language, not symbols, not mathematics, but something that resembled a compressed packet. NASA did not release this information publicly. However, leaks within the Deep Space Network indicated that the signal contained structured sections separated by predictable silences, almost like headers in a digital file. And whoever sent it did so with precision, far beyond any natural source. It wasn't a burst. It wasn't chaos. It was a transmission, a real transmission, coming from near Voyager. Then came the moment scientists still refused to discuss publicly. By analyzing tiny Doppler shifts in the signal, they detected movement, coordinated, smooth, accelerated. It wasn't drifting like a comet. It wasn't tumbling like an asteroid. It wasn't orbiting. It was repositioning, deliberately, as if circling the spacecraft or adjusting its orientation. And with each shift, Voyager recorded corresponding magnetic fluctuations. It was almost like a spacecraft performing maneuvers, except it wasn't one of ours. It didn't come from any known space program, and it didn't behave like anything ever built by humans. The object wasn't just near Voyager, it was interacting with it, showing interest, studying it. Finally, after weeks of analysis, NASA reached a conclusion no one wanted to accept, yet no one could avoid. Voyager had made contact, not with a planet, not with plasma, not with radiation, not with cosmic waves, but with an object, a highly advanced object, one that emitted structured communication, that moved with intention, that distorted magnetic fields, that responded to Voyager's patterns, that understood Voyager better than we understand it. This object has no propulsion signature. It emits no heat. It shows no exhaust, no detectable radiation beyond the signal itself. It behaves like something that should not exist, something that rewrites physics, something that may have traveled through interstellar space long before we launched our first rocket. And Voyager 1, the oldest, weakest, and most unlikely ambassador humanity has ever sent, has become the first witness to it. Think about that for a moment. A spacecraft built with 1970s technology, carrying a record, a needle, some data, and a pulsing plutonium heart, has just become the first ambassador in a conversation we never prepared for. Whatever that object is out there, it demonstrated an understanding of time, awareness of Voyager's transmissions, the ability to produce structured communication, and mastery of movement in an environment where nothing built by humans has ever been tested. It responded only when it wanted. It moved only when it chose. It remained silent during experiments and spoke only when Voyager behaved consistently, as if analyzing not the content of the transmissions, but the rhythm of the spacecraft's existence. This is not random. This is not natural. This is interaction. If this story impacted you even half as much as it impacted NASA's mission team, don't leave in silence. Subscribe because as this investigation continues, every new update may redefine our place in the cosmos. Like this video so more people understand what just happened out there. And in the comments, tell me, do you think this object is a relic, a sentinel, or the first member of a civilization we have just encountered?